Hello everyone, I'm Denis Poisson and this is the Foolish Fish Roundup for May 2024 of all the esoteric and occult books that I've purchased over the past month. And we're going to start off with the complete flying rolls of the Golden Dawn, which is the paperback edition of a hardcover, because the hardcover was only printed in 100 exemplars and I absolutely missed out on that. But yeah, this is an interesting document. The flying rolls were additional documents that were passed around the original members of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn before they were disbanded and recreated under various guises. But the details in these documents give us some insights into the Golden Dawn's rituals and practices and ways of thinking, actually, and we get some footnotes and some really interesting commentaries by some of those original Golden Dawn members. You'll be able to see that in this edition the editor Samuel Scarborough has made best guesses as to who possibly may have written each of these little articles, just given the style. And that's possibly one of the reasons also why I can't say, well, it's super easy to read or it's super difficult to read, because it's lots of different authors. It's all very interesting, it's all fascinating. I think that if you're interested in Golden Dawn style lodge magic, then this is going to be of great interest to you. And if you happen to be in one of the modern Golden Dawn societies, this will definitely be of interest to you. Maybe a little word to say that some of this material is online, but not in a complete form like this, not with anywhere near the kind of added details that you're going to find in this particular edition. So there we are, the complete flying rolls of the Golden Dawn. I was very happy to get my hands on that. That was really cool. So the next one that I've got here is The Monk by Matthew Lewis. This is a novel, and you could think of it as the very first ever Gothic novel. This was written before Bram Stoker wrote Dracula. The Monk was actually written in 1780 something, and it was pretty shocking at the time. It's quite salacious, kind of raunchy, which is not necessarily what you'd expect to be reading about when you pick up a book called The Monk that takes place in a monastery. There's this ghostly nun who does all kinds of unspeakable things. It's all pretty sensational stuff, and definitely a classic. So this is Black Letter Press's edition, and just like all Black Letter Press's books, it is beautifully published, beautifully produced on very nice cream colored silky paper. Very, very lovely stuff. It's a little bit larger than the average Black Letter Press book. If I just put these two together, this is William Butler Yeats's On Magic and the Occult, which is more of a standard size for Black Letter Press. You'll see that The Monk is a little bit taller. But then if I compare it to the complete Flying Scrolls, which is, you could say, kind of an average size for a paperback edition, then you'll see that it is, it's still a small pocket size, right? Maybe not quite pocket, but handbag size, that kind of thing, right? Now, naturally, being a full novel and being published in a smaller size, nevertheless with some readable font size, you're talking about, around 550 pages. And yeah, it's a really nice edition of this classic work by Matthew Lewis. Now, the next book on my list is Franz Bardon's Initiation into Hermetics. So many of you have been clamoring and asking, please get into Franz Bardon. Tell us what you think of Initiation into Hermetics. Well, I haven't read the book yet, but I am finally in a situation where I could read the book, and certainly will read the book eventually, right? The reason I didn't have the book previously is because it's so expensive. It's difficult to find, and when you do find it, because it's for some reason out of print, it's just extremely expensive. And Watkins Books happened to have received just a shipment of them. At the time that I picked it up, they had a few in stock. It might be worth checking out their web store. I'll leave a link in the description, of course, so that you can decide for yourself if it's the right price for you. The regular price is still pretty steep, I have to admit, but nowhere near as steep as the second-hand market makes these books available for, and not even starting to talk about the hardcover edition. Having a look at some of these titles over here, you'll see that it does seem to be a pretty practical manual. I've been told that it's a great system in itself. People looking for a complete system of magic will be well served by this one. I have to admit, I'm pretty excited to get into it myself. Just wanted to give you an idea of the font. It's kind of interesting. I'm not used to seeing this kind of vertically compressed font with quite a lot of space between the lines. I expect that'll probably be quite comfortable to read, I would imagine. We'll see. There are a couple of color image. No, I think there's one color image and one black and white image of Franz Bardon himself. That color image is, it's just the same image as you get on the cover over here. You can just get it reproduced a few pages in. I believe that's the only color illustration you get inside, and I expect there are probably some diagrams, but I'm certainly not seeing any right now. There we go. Gives you an idea, hopefully, of what to expect. I'm very curious. I'm looking forward to reading this one, okay? Now, the next book on my list is a book that I've been wanting to pick up for a very long time, but the cost of the shipping has kept it out of my reach, and it is the Shams al-Ma'arif, the Sun of Knowledge. This is a partial English translation, but it's pretty much the only Arabic grimoire that I have, and I've heard so many good things about it that it made sense for me to pick this one up, right? I was delighted to see it at Watkins Books, and when I open it up, you'll probably agree with me that it is a beautiful production by Revelor Press. They've really done a fantastic job. Look at this. You don't very often get end papers on a paperback, do you? Now, just the first thing to note maybe is the size of the book. Look at that next to my hand. It's absolutely gigantic, and it spans 300 or so pages. It's a very hefty book. So I'll show you some of the titles from the tables of contents. It's interesting to note that this book has been called one of the most evil books ever written. And the reason seems to be simply that it is a grimoire. It does speak of astrology, and it speaks of jinn. And I can very well imagine that a very Puritan society would consider this to be an absolute no-no. However, it is written in a very pious, very devotional, in fact, manner, and that comes across really nicely in the translation. Some of those titles probably appeal to many people looking into the grimoire tradition, and especially into the Arabic grimoire tradition. Now let me just turn the page and give you an idea of the production value here. Folks, Revelor Press really have made something very, very beautiful here. It's lovely, it's airy, it's beautifully laid out, and yeah, look at these. Isn't that lovely? Very, very beautiful. This is more than just the information. You know, Revelor Press really have made the book pleasant to read. They've done justice to the material. So that is the Sun of Knowledge, the Shams al-Ma'arif, which I'm really looking forward to getting into. And then next, again, a book that was out of my reach because of shipping costs. It's Trutmezzer by Frater Acher, A Blade of Two. And this is a lovely book published by Three Hands Press. It's got a very, very high gloss, very fiery red dust cover there that gives you an idea of some of the contents. The idea is that Frater Acher is giving us a history of the Trutmezzer, the German witchblade, and in the first half of the book he gives us some examples of how it was used historically, and in the second part of the book he gives us his own experience with the Trutmezzer, with the German witchblade. It really made me think of, I mean, the purba, right? I mean, maybe the Tibetan style of the eyes there. Rowan E. Cassidy has provided some lovely illustrations inside. It's a short book, yeah, a short book, but it packs a punch, it really does. That second half, in which Frater Acher describes the encounter that he had through the use of the Trutmezzer, is yeah, deeply affecting. Very, very interesting stuff. Here's a short table of contents. You can see that it is a short book at under 100 pages, but it's lovely. It's a beautiful production, and you can see it's a limited edition as well. Very, very lovely. Naturally Smith sewn and all the rest of the good stuff that you can expect from Three Hands Press. Very beautiful. Next, we've got A Path to the Grail. So this is a very interesting one. Dion Fortune, who was one of the early theosophists alongside Helena Blavatsky, also became a member of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. But aside from that, she was very interested in Christianity, and very interested, as I am, in the divergence between what she had read in the Bible and had understood esoterically from the Bible, and what she was seeing performed in churches, which she understood to be extremely exoteric and, in her mind, pointless. You can see chapters such as Tearing Down Churchianity and Reinventing Christianity, Recovering the Celtic Spirit over here, and that kind of gives you an idea of what's going on here. So in this book, Dion Fortune essentially goes through the esoteric meaning of the communion and suggests an esoteric, occult way of taking communion that would be more in line with what the early church had intended and less in line with whatever the organized version of the church that we know today have in mind. I started reading it last night, so I can't give you very many details. All I can say is that it's very pleasant to read and it seems really fascinating. Hollythorn Press are making available many of the works attributed to Dion Fortune and that have inspired Dion Fortune, and I think this is one that speaks to me very personally, and I think it may speak to many of you as well. Okay, next on the list is Rainbow Body. So those of you interested in Dzogchen specifically, the current in Tibetan Buddhism that is specifically interested in the nature of the mind, this is a lovely, lovely book. Let me just read this blurb for you. There's no better illustration of the radical transformative power of the ancient Tibetan contemplative teachings of Dzogchen than the extraordinary phenomenon of bodily disappearance, or rainbow body, which is considered its ultimate fruit. In this groundbreaking study of rainbow body in the Bön tradition, which is the first of its kind in a Western language, the neophyte reader is guided into the profound insights of Dzogchen, while all the components required to understand this most mysterious and enigmatic phenomena are laid out gently and methodically. Now, I don't know if some of you possibly saw this at the end of my Watkins tour, but it is utterly lovely, very, very high quality publication over here. It's naturally Smith sewn. It's got this very, very nice fine fabric cover, and if I just zoom out over here, you'll see that there are many, many illustrations throughout the book, all color illustrations, very high grade paper. Now the question is whether it's written in an approachable way or not. I think that if you're interested in Dzogchen, this is going to be on your radar already, probably, right? But if you're not already interested in Dzogchen, it's not impossible that a beautiful book like this could grasp your attention and cause you to, who knows, look a little bit deeper, possibly, maybe seek out a teacher, that kind of thing. Very, very lovely stuff. So I'm really looking forward to reading that. Let me give you an idea of the table of contents while we're here. Here we go. And the good people at Watkins Books were very, very kind to save for me all this time a hardcover edition of the Green Mysteries for me to pick up. Arcana Virida, an occult herbarium by Daniel Schulk. And this came out last year. There was a bit of controversy around the release of this book, as people had waited for 5 years and had actually mostly given up hope that it would ever be published. But it was published, and my goodness, what a publication. Absolutely gorgeous. It's gigantic, folks. It's a massive, massive book that is so big that I can barely pick it up here. Here we go. And here is what the spine looks like. Beautiful production. Absolutely gorgeous. Worth waiting 5 years for, no doubt. Folks, just look at the inside here. How beautifully illustrated it all is, what care they've put into the production of it all. Yeah, it really is understandable that it's taken this long, but yeah, I know that many, many people have been very angry, understandably, you know, at being told, yeah, it'll be released in 2 months' time, it'll be in 5 months' time, yeah, we need 3 more months, we need 6 more months, we need another year, possibly at the mid of next year, etc., etc. But then finally it was released, and it's just glorious, folks, absolutely glorious. So the spine, of course, it's all Smith sewn. It's, you know, it's up to 3 hands presses, very high standards. The spine is a square spine. Right, there we go. If I just show that to you like that. The dust cover is high gloss, which is very nice. I'm not 100% sure I'll be keeping the dust cover on, although I'll certainly be keeping the dust cover, if that makes sense. It's very, very nice, actually. Yeah, maybe I will be keeping the dust cover on it. It is actually quite beautiful. So if you're into the green path at all, if you're into the magical aspects of botany, the magical uses of plants, and a magical path that is going to put you in contact with growing things, then yeah, this is a lovely, lovely edition. The paperback edition is also very beautiful. I was able to take a look at that at Watkins Books. They have a few copies of the paperback edition, but they are exclusively for people visiting the shop in person in London at Cecil Court. So yeah, definitely worth taking a look at that if you happen to be in the vicinity. I've got one more esoteric book on the list before I show you the kind of big book that I received this month. This is The Hermetic Marriage of Art and Alchemy, Imagination, Creativity, and the Great Work by Marlene Seven-Bremner. I was really intrigued by the ideas that this book was supposed to be covering when I first found out that it was available, right? When I talked about it on my news video, and I then completely forgot about it. And it's only when I saw it again in Watkins Books that I thought, oh, do you know what? Maybe it's time. And so I picked up a copy. Very, very interesting so far. I'm going to say it's not necessarily written in a pop magic kind of style. It is definitely academic, right? It is Smith sewn. It's actually quite a reasonably nice production, particularly for that kind of price. And yeah, let's take a look at the contents here. The idea is that the author is going through 4 artistic periods and discussing how alchemy is relevant to the processes involved here and for the various figures who spearheaded these artistic movements. Then there's an entire section on magic in general. In fact, she goes into quite a lot of detail, like the elements, tables of correspondence, planetary hours. Some of it seems like it might not even be quite necessary in this particular context, but she does make sure that everyone picking up this book is going to be fully equipped to understand every concept within it, which is actually quite nice, right? Towards the end here, you're going to see a few tables. There's plenty of art. I found that the art that's featured is sufficient to follow the text, but I did regularly find myself reaching out for my mobile phone to look up particular works of art that were being mentioned, just for reference, you know, and just to have some color. There are some color pages, but they are all of the author's work. If I show you that over here, you'll see there's some pretty cool stuff. The author actually goes into some detail about her own process. And the whole idea here is how you might use alchemy in the artistic process, in the creative process yourself. It's very, very interesting stuff, very nice ideas here. And if you are a creative person yourself and sometimes struggle to get stuff out, then yeah, following the concepts suggested in this particular one could be of interest to you. Whoa. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the big book that arrived in the month of May. Unbelievable. Folks, those of you who saw my interview with Dr. Justin Sledge from the Esoteric YouTube channel will know that the book that I think is the most beautiful book ever published is the Kelmscott edition of Geoffrey Chaucer's complete works. And ladies and gentlemen, here is a full facsimile edition of the Kelmscott Chaucer. It's a beast! And it's everything that I was hoping it would be. Now, let me put it down on the table and get close up with it with my mobile phone. So we are actually looking at a real proper facsimile of the Kelmscott Geoffrey Chaucer. It's real pigskin vellum. It's completely embossed, as you can see. It's just utterly beautiful. Now, the originals sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars. This facsimile edition, I'll just put my hand on it so you can get an idea of just the scale of this thing. It's gigantic, absolutely gigantic. And yeah, this was $150. You got the little clasps on the side over here. And then there's this little protective piece of card there. There's this very intriguing looking envelope, which I've not wanted to open quite yet. And then there is the certificate of authenticity. At the top here, we can see this is book number 10, limited to 1,896 books worldwide. So I bought this directly from the creator on eBay, and I was not expecting to receive number 10, but that was a very nice surprise. You'll see that the decorations are by William Morris and the illustrations are by Edward Burne-Jones, and it is utterly gorgeous, utterly beautiful. Right, so you have those two-tone prints over here, and then yeah, all of those illustrations and decorations. Really very special. And yeah, I'll show you the edges of the pages so that you can have an idea. So they are gilded in gold, And you can see that the different pages are of different sizes, just like the original. It really is a complete facsimile. It is exactly like the original, and I could not be happier. A big fan of William Morris's work, and I love Edward Burne-Jones's work also. So having them both collaborate on such a beautiful volume is yeah, something very special indeed. There we are. Naturally, I'm very excited about it, and no, I will not be reading it in the original from this book, but I will be cherishing these illustrations and decorations and just the spirit of creation and beauty that exudes from this wonderful volume. There we are. So I'll leave a link in the description for where you can pick up a copy of one of these on eBay for yourself. Very, very cool stuff indeed. There we are, that's what I have for you this week. Thank you so much for watching the show. What esoteric and occult books have you been checking out this month? Have I missed out on any? Please leave a comment, and also let me know which books you're excited to see coming up in the near future. Do keep an eye out. In the next few days I'll be releasing a poll on YouTube so that you can decide which of the books that I've just shown you you'd like to see me do a full review for. Don't forget that if you'd like to support the channel and help me get more books for you to see like this, then the best way to support me is through Patreon, and all Patreon members, regardless of the level at which you join, get access to the Foolish Fish Discord server, where members share ideas on magic, they ask each other and answer questions, and gather ideas for their own practice. Details on how to access the Discord can be found in the description of any of the latest videos, including this one. Naturally, I want to say a big thank you to all the existing members, especially the level Infinity members: David Venturini, Caitlin Kopok, Aritz Murueta Ramos, Howard Wolf, Linda Hendricks, Stephen Hunter, Susanna Redelfs, and Thomas. Thank you so much for your support and for keeping the channel alive through your contributions. And a big special thank you also to all the level 3 members whose names you can see scrolling up on the left hand side over here. Thank you so much to everyone for watching the show. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I'll see you very soon with another video. Bye bye.